So B'shus Samar Dasa, Shkoyach, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I will say it's short, right? It's 2 hours. I didn't know that Noshim were going to be here, so I want to apologize. I thought I was giving a shir, but then they tell me now that the Noshim in Hollywood can handle a shir, because I prepared. Forgive me, I thought it was a shir, so. We'll try and let's hope it all comes together in a nice way for everyone. Forgive me if it's not clear something I'm saying. If there's big kashas, save that till after Rosh Hashanah. That please. But if there's any hasbar, like it's not clear what I'm saying, just wave and I'll do my best to explain it properly. So there's a halacha in Hilchos Rosh Hashanah Tov Reish Gimel in Sif Aleph. It's one Sif. Af misha enu nizim pas shel kusim during the year. Someone who doesn't eat pasakum, entmans, michveis, whatever it is. You don't eat pasisol. Totally kosher, good to eat. It's fine. It's good. No one should worry. But someone who is not makbid on that during the year, but says to tshuva should be careful during a tshuva not to eat pasakum. So it raises a very important question that I've heard so many times from so many people over the years, and I must say to some degree I felt it myself. We put so much kaiches into Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur for this time, tomorrow night. We're going to stop. We're going to really work. And it's tremendous, tremendous avodah. Who are we kidding? So I'm not going to eat entenmann's this week, but next week I'll start eating it again. Like, who am I fooling here? What's the game we're playing here? And bichlal, there's a sense of, I put these kaiches into the avodah. Tremendous, tremendous. There's more avodah now than any time ever in the whole year. And then there's a sense of like, okay, if I'm going to fall back, basically, in the Hebrew they say, chozrim l'shigra, go back to regular. It's a phrase in the Olam HaTorah in Israel. No one likes using this phrase, chozrim l'shigra, going back to the normal. We don't want to go back to the normal, but we know to some degree it's going to happen. How do we elevate? How do we take the actual avodah, these 10 days, Ases Me'tshuva, Rosh Hashanah through Yom Kippur, and elevate ourselves and realize something happened, something changed. It wasn't just, we're going to go back to normal. We go through the cycle of our life and then go back to normal and we eat pasakim again, but we're different people. We've changed. How does that work? That we can have that clear, that real clarity that this year I'm going to come out as a different person. How exactly does that work? So I want to see if I can explain it as quickly as I can with dvarim pshutim that I think almost everyone knows, but I want to try and bring out something that I heard. Most of this I heard from one of my great Rabbi, Reb Chaim Friedlander. Zecher Tzadik Kodesh Baruch was mashkiach in yeshiva, and we heard vadim during Elul, and this is the tamsis of the things that he taught us during Elul. So we don't like this. The Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah tells us, Arba prokim olam nidon Pesach alatur, it says Apes Elon, but Rosh Hashanah kol bay olam oivim lefonikim neimaron, everyone passes before, every bria passes before Rabbi Shem tomorrow night. This is the moment when Rosh Hashanah starts, boom, everyone goes before Rabbi Shalom. That's the Mishnah. So the Gemara is masbir with a brayso. Amar Rava. Hi Tana, who's the Tana of the Mishnah? Debei Rabbi Shmoli. The Tana Rabbi Shmuel. Ba'arba prokim olam nidon Pesach al tvur bases apes ilon. Ubechag nidon amayim. Va'adam nidon b'Rosh Hashanah. Everyone is judged on Rosh Hashanah. V'gzah din shaloi nichtam b'yom kippurim. And the fact that the Mishnah says on Rosh Hashanah, the split second when Rosh Hashanah comes in, we're all judged, says this brayso, that's tchilas adin. That's the beginning of the din. But the end of the din, gzah din shaloi nichtam b'yom kippurim. This is the yisod of a sesame tshuva that we're going to work this whole week, that the gzah, the chatzima, the sealing will be on Yom Kippurim. Later on in the sugya, there's another brayso. Omer of Krispedoi, Omer Rabbi Yochanan. This is a well-known, everyone knows this, but I'm going to bring out something I hope that'll be very important for us. Omer Rabbi Yochanan, Shleisha Sfarim Niftachim B'Rosh Hashanah, Echad Shel Rishonim Gemurim, V'Echad Shel Tzadikim Gemurim, V'Echad Shel Beinanim. 3 books are opened, one for complete tzaddikim, one for complete rishonim, and one for beinanim. Rashi points out beinanim is mechsa, half and half. And that takes a whole lomdus to understand what on earth that means. Because what's the chances of someone being with a celestial cheshbon of every maisa you did, the gans yor, turns out that it's exactly how, it doesn't make sense, so you have to have a mahalach. But let's leave that alone for the moment. Whatever beinanim are, let's leave it alone. They're somewhere between Tzadikim Gemurim v'Rishonim Gemurim. So Tzadikim Gemurim Nichtam Nicham La'alza L'chaim. They're signed and sealed immediately. The sealing is immediately for life. That's the Tzadikim. That's on Rosh Hashanah. Rishonim Gemurim Nichtam La'alza L'misa. Rishonim immediately. They're signed and sealed. Beinanim Tzulim V'Oimdim Mirosham V'Yam Gim. Beinanim, that's whoever they are. That's us. What the chayra? I mean, halavai would all be tzaddikim, and we should bench each other on. But the ma'isa, we have a yom kippur. Asesmei tshuva was a vegeshtel for beinanim. That's what it's for the in between mechsa. So they're taluim v'ayim roshani yomikim zachu. If they're zaycha, the Lashon Yerushalmi says im osu tshuva. If they did tshuva, the Bavli says zachu nichtavim l'chaim. They're written up for life. Lo zachu nichtovin lamisa. They're signed up for death. So this hemshech of the sugya l'chayra is a hezber of the Mishnah, except it can't be, because the Mishnah clearly says that on Rosh Hashanah everyone is signed. We're all signed up, everyone, the whole world, and we're all sealed on Yom Kippur. From Rav Krispedoi, it comes out the signed and sealed is on Rosh Hashanah for Tzaddik and Beinim, and Rishonim Beinim aren't even sealed on Yom Kippur. They're signed on Yom Kippur. Nichtovim l'chaim. It's a ganze mesubachtika thing. It doesn't make any sense. How's this a hezber of the Mishnah? What's pshat in this? So Tosfos, is everyone with me still? Yeah, we okay? We're all with me? Okay, thank you. Wave if I'm not. Just let me know. So Tosfos, I'm going to come to something very lamaisa. If you can just hang in there with me, you'll see it'll get there. So Tosfos says, they're sealed, the Rishonim and the Tzadikim are sealed immediately for life. So he asks like this, says Tosfos, if you want to tell me a tzaddik is someone who has more mitzvahs than averos, if beinanim is mechza, is half and half, then someone who has more is a tzaddik. So we're done. They're done. On Rosh Hashanah, they're signed and sealed. And the same thing with Rishonim. If you have one more, l'chayra, whatever that means, you're signed and sealed. So zog Tosfos, upamim tzadikim nichtamim lemisa. But sometimes we see tzadikim die. People who are clearly tzaddikim, we take a look at their lives, we know it's pashut. They have ma'isa mitzvahs merubim, they do more than their averos, and they die. Everyone dies. So what does it mean? Rishonim gemurim l'chaim, and we see Rishonim gemurim that they live their lives and never they go on year after year, and they're still living. So how are they signed for death? What is the whole thing telling us? Doesn't make any sense. Tosfos has a long cheshbon. I don't want to go through it. It's more in Kedushin. And then he says something, a mamish a bomb. Gazog Tosfos, v'kol zeh dekari hacha gabi rishonim misa v'gabi tzadikim chaim. This whole sugya that's talking about the signing and sealing for death and life, kloima l'chai ha'olam haba. It's talking about the world to come. It's not talking about this world anyway. Which throws a spanner in the works of the whole Gemara, the Mishnah, the whole Mahalach. And what are we doing at Asesmei Tshuva? It's talking about Olam Haba. There's a few kashas on the whole concept of Olam Haba. What does it even mean that the whole thing is talking about Olam Haba? How does that work? Olam Haba, first of all, everyone knows that after a person dies, there's a din v'cheshbon. on your life, la'acham ev esrim, and not only that, there's a din, say the Meforshim, there's a judgment on your meisim, there's a cheshbon of what you caused. And so if you were goyrem someone to be chayzer b'tshuva, then their schusim become yours, and that's a cheshbon l'dori doris. It goes on and on and on. So how is Rosh Hashanah, what's the kesher between Rosh Hashanah and Olam Haba? According to Tosfos, he says that's the whole pshat here. How does that work? And not only that, but if a person would die, 3 months after Lo Aleinu, after Rosh Hashanah, so it'll turn out the Rosh Hashanah was his din for his Olam Haba, and then 3 months. What do you do with those 3 months? It changes the din. What do you do with those months afterwards that there's something else changed? If it was nifsak already, and bichlal. If it's true that Rosh Hashanah has an impact on a person's Olam Haba, l'chayr, it should be the last Rosh Hashanah of his life. Not every Rosh Hashanah. What's every Rosh Hashanah got to do with that? It should be the last one. And then we know where we stand. And the problem is, the whole thing does make sense. Because if you want to say that the Bryce of Rabbi Krus B'doi comes to explain the Mishnah, you see it has a completely different mahalach in the whole sugya. It doesn't approach it at all the same way that the Bryce of Rabbi Shmuel does. And no one gets sealed. According to Rav Chris B'doi, no one's even sealed on Yom Kippur. We're signed on Yom Kippur. Something celestial, something incredible is absolutely happening. And it's kedai, if we actually knew what it was, I have a feeling that we do a lot better, with understanding what's going on. The mice is the Vilna Gaon opens up the whole sugya for us. The Vilna Gaon opens the whole thing. Because the Vilna Gaon points out that actually we're talking about two completely different things here. On Rosh Hashanah, Yosef Me'tshuva Yom Kippur, there's a din for Olam Hazeh. There is. There's a din for this world. We daven and we hope and we long for things in this world. We do. There's din for Olam Hazeh. And there's also a din for Olam Haba. And that's the piece that's really important to us, I think, in our Avodas Hashem. Because what happens for the din on Olam Hazeh is already Rosh Hashanah. We're judged. Everyone comes before Rabbi Shalom, and he judges us. What's the difference? What are we looking at? The difference in the din of Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba. What are we playing with? How again? If we're going into Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur and it says Me'tshuva, we should have an idea what we're doing. We should have a sense of what's happening. So the Gaon points out. Actually, it's very, very, very clever because he points out that this is actually the machloikas, the Magen Avraham and the Ramor, on what we say tomorrow night. Because tomorrow night, what we're going to say, L'shana Tova Tikasev. We say L'shana Tova Tikasev Tikasev Al Telchaim Tov Shalom. Right? The Ramor zogt V'noyagim Shkol Echad Oimel Chaver L'shana Tova Tikasev. We just say that. We don't say Tikasev. We just say. But the Magen Avraham says is Mitzadid Diyesh La Megam V'Seichasem. It's Machloikas Magen Avraham and the Ramah. So now we understand very well how it fits, because actually it fits very well in the Gemara. Rabbi Shmuel is talking about Olam Hazeh. In Olam Hazeh, there's a Tikasev, there's not a Tichasem. That hasn't happened. That doesn't happen till Yom Kippur. Like he explains the Mishnah, the Ksiva is done tomorrow night. The Chasima of Olam Hazeh is done Yom Kippur. So there's no time to say L'shon Tov Tikasev D'Chasem on Olam Hazeh because it hasn't happened yet. That we say Gemach Chasima Tova later on. But according to the way the Magen Avraham understands it, that's Rav Krus B'doi. We're talking about Olam Haba. The whole thing is talking about a whole different cheshbon. Our Olam Haba. That's Tikasev D'Chasem. That's what we're longing for and hoping for, that you will be signed up, because we're going to dun everyone you're a tzaddik. On tomorrow night, we're going to judge everyone and say, you're a tzaddik. T'chasem. Everyone, you're going to look at you're a tzaddik. T'chasem. When you say t'chasem, signed and sealed, you're doing the biggest bracha to someone. I'm judging you, you're a tzaddik. And you should be signed and sealed tonight. You don't need the whole Sesame Tshuva. All right, you want to do it, I'll sofik. That's your business. I understand. Oh, but the Maisa, we're going to go around and bench on each other that I hold you a tzaddik. It's a beautiful bracha that we're actually giving. Is like, that's the side of Rav Krus B'doi. That's the Magen Avraham That's how the Magen Avraham would be learning it. I actually learned, if you have a siddur, we have a siddur somewhere. Where's the siddur? 1 second. Yeah. So Reb Chaim said that that's pshat in the Shemona Esrei about the 4 inclusions. We have 4 inclusions, right? We say at the beginning of Shemona Esrei, we say Zachein l'chaim melech hafetz v'chaim kasein se v'chaim l'man chelek v'chaim, and then we say Mi k'moich avrechem zoichid so v'chaim brachmim. 2 words are missing in these. If the Rav was giving this, he teased everyone, right? Which 2 words? Right? Which 2 words? The word is toivim. Toivim, right? Because at the end, Ksov l'chaim toivim kol b'nei brisecha, and then we say the Sefer Chaim Baruch Shalom Parnosa Toiva, right? Nizachin Dekosav V'necha. What's the difference? The first 2 is Olam Haba. The first 2 are brachas for Olam Haba. L'man Cholek Yimcha. It's all for you, Hashem. It's for my Olam Haba. Zacheinu l'chaim. Remember me for Olam Haba. I'm going to explain how that works in a moment. Whereas the last 2 go according to the Ramah are talking about Olam Hazeh, this world. So when you say them, that's really what we're referring to. I'm not going too fast, right? Is this okay so far? Okay, good. So really what's left we have to explain is how does this work that this is Olam Haba? Like how does Rosh Hashanah through Yom Kippur affect my Olam Haba? And this Yesod I heard from Chaim in the Vadim, and I must tell you, when I first heard it, it was so profound. It changed my whole the whole Avodah changed, because this is what he explained. The Avodah we do Rosh Hashanah through Yom Kippur is to set the bar for what's my potential, what's my greatest potential in Ruchnius. How high can I strive? How high can I reach? It's so difficult, all the work we do, from the slichas and the tefillas, and for the noshim, amazing work with the food and the preparation and coming to Daven Eichot and taking care of the children. Everyone is exhausted. I used to say, once upon a time I asked the ladies, do you work? God forbid I would never say it ever again. They work a lot harder than we do. Of course you work. Do you also have a job? That's a separate thing. You work like a dog. We all work like dogs. It's like tremendous. What are we doing with this work, starting now with Rosh Hashanah, with tremendous Mesiras Nefesh? And we give up sleep, and we work hard, and we give stocker, and we work on so many inyanim. We lift ourselves. How is it Noget Olam Haba? Zog Reb Chaim, we're setting the bar of my Ruchnius potential for the entire year. Whatever level I'll reach, whatever I'll be able to do this coming year, the schus, the ability to strive to that level is nikva now, is nichta v'nichtam. By Yom Kippur, it's like a court system. A person goes to court, God forbid, for a din. So the first thing, are you guilty or are you innocent? Like, who are you? Like, where do you fit? The punishment comes later, but the first thing is the gezar din of who are you? As he would say it, it's kvias mahus haruchnius. Where are you holding? Who are you? Where do you fit in this olam HaTorah, in this world God gave us? Like, this is it. This is where we define ourselves. That's what a Seres Mei Tshuva is for. It's to define our kvias mahus haruchnius. This is a lashon. Reb Chaim writes, you could see it, I don't know if you have Sifsei Chaim. We have it in Sifsei Chaim, you can see it. V'al derech zehu inyan adin b'Rosh Hashanah shel Olam Haba. This is what he means. Sheberosh Hashanah, nikvas, he means the Seres Mei Tshuva, nikvas hamahus haruchnius shel adam al pi dagosai. You establish vubista. Where are you holding? Like, this is it. This is the moment to define yourself. Like, who are you? Like, we pull out all the stoppers. If I don't eat Pasakum, or I do during the year, now you don't. I'm not joking, I'm not fooling anyone, but what is my highest level ability and tachlis in Ruchnius? How high can I reach? That's what we do during a Sesame Tshuva. And Hainu, so Chaim wants to say, is, and therefore you write your own book. Which book you're going to be in, you write yourself. You're going to write the book based on how much effort and energy we put in. And that's why we put so much energy into so much of the tefillas and the davening and everything else, because we're going to, every one of us has now the potential with the schusim and with the chizuk of the Sesame Tshuva to push the bar. Now it's true, en chanami, you push a bar very high. Not every time can you reach the bar. But that bar that you're going to push now represents your ruchnius potential for the coming year, of what we can achieve this whole year. That's why we work so hard. And that's naget olam haba, because you're going to change the mahus of who you are. Do you understand the nature of the mensch? I know what I'm capable of. If I did it once, then I can do it again. I'm not sure if I can do it every time, but I know I can do it because I did it. And if I saw I could do it and I could push myself to this madrega in ruchnius, well, I know I'm capable of it. I create my own safe. I write myself in the book for myself. I've created my own future in ruchnius and my own olam haba. This is what Yom Kippur. This is really what Chris Bedoy is saying. I'm establishing for this is a beautiful opportunity where we get to see the truth of who we are. We find out how great we can all be by pushing ourselves through this tkufa. Can you bear with me one more? If I can just add one more thought. So I was thinking, like, how do we play that out, Lamaisa? How do we play that out? So we do it through the tefillahs. We do it, get up early in the morning, and with the slichas. It's hard work. Let's say no one does it easily. It's hard for everyone, and the back breaking Shemona Esreis and everything else, and paying attention, and then of course running home and the davenings and then the eatings and the meals and then the overeating. It's an avodah not to overeat. The women shouldn't make such good food because it's tone it down a bit. It's like because at least certainly not the first night. And look how we start the year. It's so amazing. The kedusha of what Hashem gives us the opportunity. What do we do? First thing we do is make kiddush. First time we take alcohol, and the new year by the goyim, they all get drunk, right? So what do? We take alcohol, the very thing that you can get drunk from, and we mekadesh. Mufresh umuvdal. We lift ourselves. Mufresh umuvdal. We lift ourselves to a different madrega, and then we make hamotzi, right? We lift and then what do we? You want to eat nice food ready, right? No, hirotzins. Let's do the hirotzins, right? And like the Meforshim say, in the hirotzins, you have kavana. You can say the Shem Hashem, the Shem Malchus. You have kavana to do tshuva, and so we start this whole meal elevating ourselves. And that's how we build our own olam haba. We build it by establishing what is my greatest potential this year that I can rise to, because I'm going to make that potential right now. But I wanted to add one more thought. And the thought is like this. We do this for ourselves, for shteitzach, and we should. We tend, I know for myself, I can only say this for myself, but when it comes to chinuch habonim, to bringing up our children, we can lose it. The Sesame Tshuva is a time when people can. It's unfortunate Yetzara at this time with all the stress of getting to davening and the tefillahs and everything. And we want to see our kids. We want to push them, to be successful, and we can lose it. Mamish, with frustration and disappointment, as the kids are not, we're busy with pushing our bar of ruchniya so high, and the kids, they're just fighting with each other and playing with Lego, and we're just like, it's very easy to get frustrated and mad with the sugya with our children during this time when I want to devote myself so much. I want to go back and learn. Yeah, but my kid wants me to play with him. I heard a Maisa once, unbelievable Maisa. The Rav Gissinger's a Chassid Kodesh Devach in Lakewood. Rav Gissinger was one of the senior early Rabbanim of Lakewood, the Kehillah. I was very, very close with him. He unfortunately passed very young. And one time Rav Gissinger had, on Rosh Hashanah, they had guests. They had a family of Baalei Tshuva somehow ended up in his home for Rosh Hashanah. And one of the sons, the couple were sincere Baalei Tshuva, but they changed later in life, and one of the sons, a teenager, was a bit resentful, didn't want to be there. Versteht was having a really hard time. Rav Gissinger, in the short break they had on Rosh Hashanah in the afternoon, went downstairs and played ping pong with this boy. The Rav himself went downstairs and played ping pong with this boy, and later on in life, the boy reported that that's when he realized, I can connect to this whole Judaism thing. I think I can be a part of it. His parents had become Baalei Tshuva, and he wasn't holding there. And Rav Gissinger went down and played ping pong. I'm not saying we all have to go and play ping pong, it's not the point. But the sensitivity to children to understand and elevate everybody, we shouldn't lose the connection as we're in our slavas to push our bar so high, and then we lose the connection to our children. So I just want to mention one quick thing. I want to discuss this with the Rav, and I've asked many Gedolim whether or not I'm forcing the Gemara to say what I want it to say, or whether it actually says it. And we've concluded it says it. We discussed this one time. So I'll finish with this. The Mishnah says in Nazer that Ha'ish mader es benoi benazer ve'ein ish mader es benoi benazer. A man can make his child a nazer, whether you like it or not. Got a 9-year-old kid, and I decide for his ruchnias, I'm going to make him a fruma, and I can make my kid a nazir. An isha not. Keitzad, what happens, says the Mishnah, if Gilach or Shiguch Kroivim, if the Kroivim, the relatives, come along and they say, disagree, you shouldn't do that. The brother-in-law, the uncles, the grandparents come along and they suddenly turn up your house and say, no, you're not making your kid into a nazir, and they shave him. Micha or Shemichu Kroivim, or they're Moicha. And they say, no, you can't do it. That we listen to them. It's an unusual halacha where relatives can misharain in the life of a family and tell them, no, you cannot make a kid a nazir. You can't do it. It's a very strange halacha. So the Gemara says like this, Ish in of Elisha loy. My time, why can a man do it and a woman can't? Because a man is mechuyev, what you're going to see. It says, my time, Rabbi Yochanan halachi benazir. So halacha Moshe Messinai, that a man can make a nazir and a woman can't. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Chanina, Amar Reish Lakish, K'dei Lachancha b'mitzvahs, because a man has a chiyuv to mechanech mitzvahs, and so he's making him into a nazir because he wants him to be a fruma. He wants to be a yeshivisha. He wants to build him and make him into a starke mensch, this 9-year-old, so he can make him a nazir. He wants to set him on the right path. But the Kroivim can come along and say no, which we don't find anywhere else, such a thing. So the Gemara has kama heichetim, says, I'm going to say one. The Gemara says like this, Bishleim l'Rabbi Yochanan, dal amalacha hi, b'nazir, hainu ketani mia, oshemicha kroivim. If you want to say, called Rabbi Yochanan, it says, halacha Moshe Messina. Moshe told me from Sinai, he passed down the halacha, that you, a parent, can make a child a nazir. You could do it. And also, that the Kroivim can come along and say no. That's halacha Moshe Messina. El Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Chanina, Amar Reish Lakish, who wants to say it's because of mitzvahs chinuch, be mechanich your child, kol kamina and kroivim darin lo tigmi mitzvahs. Someone's going to go interfere with the father. Father says, I want to be mechanich my child like this. And the kroivim, relatives, the zayda, the uncle, the brother-in-law, they can come along and say no. And the answer is yes. How can they get away with that? Emphasis the Gemara, Kasava, Kol Chinuch de lo chashiv lo nichale. Because Chinuch that's not chashiv, lo nichale, is not good for him. Chinuch has to be chashiv. Whatever we're doing under this umbrella, this thing of Chinuch, has to be chashiv. So Rashi says interesting. Kasava Reish Lakish, Kol Chinuch de lo chashivile, Kigon Chinuch Naziris, to Bizyayin who, to come and Galech Roshai, lo nichale lebrei. With if you're going to make a child a nazir, then when he finishes Naziris, you've got to shave his head off. And when you shave his head off, he's going to go to school. Imagine that. When he goes to school, what are his friends going to say? Baldy. They're going to make fun of him. And the Kroivim know this. They're going to laugh at him with long hair. They're going to laugh at him with short hair. Therefore, Nazirus for a child is a bizoyan. It's not chashiv. And therefore you can't do it because it's a bizoyan. Chinuch, you can't be mavazi your child to do chinuch. That doesn't fit under the framework of chinuch. But now listen to what Tosfos says. Amazing. And this is a yesod gadol for all of chinuch, for everything. And for our avodah, I think, during the Sesame Tshuva, to incorporate, while we're striving for that bar, to incorporate our children in a healthy way, to keep the eye on the ball. This is what he says. He says, like, Kugain chinuch to Nazirus, Bizoyinu, same as Rashi. And then he says like this, and I'm amazed that the famous Darshanim who speak about chinuch worldwide, at the Torah Masorah Convention, the other places, that I never heard anyone speak out this Tosfos. And it's shocking to me, because it's such a yesod. Zog Tosfos, v'yesh garsin, there's another way of explaining deloi chashive. We say kol chinuch has to be chashiv. Chinuch deloi chashiv lo nichle. It's not good if it's not chashiv. What does it mean lo chashive? V'hachi pirushai. This is pshat. Kol chinuch hu, chinuch, the yesod of chinuch, lahachshivai, to make him feel chashiv. Chinuch is to make a child feel special to be a Jew. Is to make him feel good about himself. Kol chinuch hu lahachshivai is make him feel chashiv. V'zeh bizoyin hula. And this is a bizoyin, therefore it's not chinuch. And therefore, according to Ravina, that they can be meicha. What's the yesod? Chinuch, to do chinuch, we were so mizaris with our kids. We want them to, come to the davening and to thing and to all the different avodah that we're going to be doing. But when we do it, are we going to make them feel special or going to make them feel forced? Or we make them feel guilted into doing it, shamed into doing it? That's not chinuch. It's better they go off and play. It's better we wait till they mature and then we help them do it and we teach them how to do it. But we do it in a way they feel chashuv. That's chinuch. So the tziruf, this is really what I'm saying. The tziruf in our avodah, in my humble opinion of the Sesame Tshuva, is that we're going to try and push up that bar. Every one of that's olam haba. That's what it means. And we're going to create our own olam haba by pushing the great potential that lies within me. What's my maximum this year that I can steig to? I am going to go back and eat Entenmann's after the Sesame Tshuva in a Chanami. But I've created the potential that I can now go through a year knowing I'm capable of this. I can do this. I can achieve this. There's greater kaichas in me than I ever knew. That's how it translates into olam haba for us. And if we can do that at the same time that we take our children with us in a way, lahach shivai, where we make them feel chashuv to be part of all this, not guilty, not pressured, not threatened, not with disappointment, but in a way that makes them feel chashuv, how special it is to be part of this. Then with that, I think we can bring ourselves to a Yom Norayim that will fundamentally change who we are, change who our children are, and ultimately bring Mashiach. Thank you very much.